Wednesday, October 9th, 1:16 p.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. Going to look at the sectors. But first, I want to show you the stock indexes, because today we made some all-time new highs. So I'll cue this in. Going to look at the higher time frame, the weekly time frame, 5-year charts of the major stock indexes, and then we'll break it down to the sectors. S&P 500 just made an all-time new high this morning. NASDAQ 100 has not. NASDAQ 100 is part of the S&P 500. This index is inside the S&P 500. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's also inside the S&P 500. Has not made an all-time high yet. Very close to retesting it. The Dow Jones Transportation, it's part of the S&P 500. The all-time high is back here. Yep, and we tested the high this year several times. I haven't broken above it. And the Dow Jones Utility, also part of the S&P 500. Here's the all-time high here. And we're actually selling off. Lower high, lower low. Yep, so it makes sense what's going on here. Dow Utilities are companies that pay high dividends. They're not considered growth companies. Like the NASDAQ 100, that's more looked at as growth. So if you expect the economy to improve, the value of companies go higher, those be your growth companies. Whereas if your company pays a high dividend and not going to grow as much, well, that's how they attract investors. But again, buying a stock just because it has dividend, your value of your purchase may be going lower. Okay, I'll include this too, the Russell 2000. It's not part of the S&P 500. It's a bunch of small companies. It hasn't taken out the higher low of last week, and here's the all-time high. So really clearly, these three top indexes, S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and the Dow Jones, are the ones that are performing better. So now the S&P 500, which I identified made a new high for this year, today, this stock index not only has several stock indexes inside of it, which I mentioned, the stock index is also divided into sectors, 11 sectors. We'll go in those sectors by alphabetical order, see which ones are performing better or equal. So if you want to outperform this index or unload the garbage and be the better ones, that can be done too. Same thing. Each chart will be 5 years, and each candle will be a week. And since today's Wednesday, we're in the middle of the week. All right, the first sector of the S&P 500, XLK. Stock symbol will be here. Stock symbol will be also up here on the left. And it tells you what it is, technology. Okay, here's the low for the past 5 years. Here's the high for the past 5 years. And this week, we broke above midpoint, right there. That big impulse moved down, we broke above it. Well, we also broke above it on that week, and we failed to close above it. So today's Wednesday, come Friday, 4 p.m., this will close, and we want to identify, did we break above it and close above it? Well, we already broke above it. Again, we want to see if we close above it to know if that's bullish. And we also have this gap that has not got filled yet, that white line. Use caution. It could be a pump and then a dump. I'd rather be buying it down here. Somewhere down here. Again, let's go on to the next, but we already identified this. Do not take out the high yet. So the index is performing better than that. The index of the S&P 500 is performing better. The healthcare, XLV, look at that. Here's the high for the year, trending down, lower, low, lower, high. Financials, the banks, the insurance companies, the brokers, the mortgage companies, very close to taking out the high of the year. And here is a gap that has not gotten filled yet. So we have a pullback there. That's the place I'm looking. There's a potential trade eye there. They're just spending a lot of time up here. Consumer discretionary. Yep, here's the high for the past few years. We're not there. Here's some value areas I'm looking to consider potential bullish areas. Communication services. Here's the low. Here's the high for this year and for the past 5 years. Nice. And look at that. Yellow candle, inside candle. We haven't taken out the high, which was last week. Value area. If we come back down there. Industrial, all-time new high. Yep. This past 5 years, we just made a new high today, this week, just like the S&P 500. Here's some value areas I've marked out. And consumer staples. Well, that was the high of the year, which happened to be the high for the past 5 years. Nice run-up, markup phase, huge markup phase. Retracement, and we had this impulse move down, that big red candle. I already labeled the midpoint, and we're currently forming a bullish pin bar. I'm looking to see if we're going to get a pullback in here for potential trade eye there, potential bullish trade eye there. And energy. Wow. Here's the low for the past 5 years. Here's the high. And look at that. Last week, huge impulse move up. This week, tested it right there, midpoint. It's like buyers are defending it. Utilities. Last week was the all-time high. For the past 5 years. Big sell-off, big difference than the other ones. Yeah. One could run a Fibonacci here too, see potential retracement areas. I'll keep it up. Real estate. Here's the high for the past 5 years. Here's the low for the past 5 years. Off the highs of this year, trading down, coming back into this value area. Potential trade out there. Look at that candle. Forming a dodgy candle, bottom of a trend, potential reversal. Okay, that's one thing. If it closes like that, it also significantly indicates potential halfway point. Might pull back, do a retracement back up, minor somewhere, and then continuation down. Time will tell. And materials. Wow. Here's the high for the year. Here's the high for the past 5 years. Building consolidation up here. Nice. If you like early access to my videos, I have a subscribers page, very tiny donation. The link's below in the video. It's a Patreon page. Easy to understand, easy access to these videos and the trade ideas. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. That's it. Bye-bye.